American automakers are standing on the edge of a serious storm, and at the center of it is Ford Motor Company. After the Trump administration's announcement of potential 100% tariffs on Chinese imports and Beijing's immediate countermeasures, the U.S. auto industry is bracing for its toughest challenge in years. According to reports from the Wall Street Journal and Politico, internal White House analyses already warn that the auto sector would be one of the first casualties of a full-scale tariff war. Behind closed doors, emergency meetings are taking place at Ford's headquarters in Dearborn, with officials from the Departments of Commerce and Labor in attendance. Sources told Reuters that Ford executives directly cautioned the government. If the tariffs take full effect, supply chains could collapse as early as the first quarter of 2026. The situation brings back memories of 2018, when Trump's earlier tariffs briefly shut down Ford's Michigan plant. But this time the threat is far greater. The new tariffs hit not just finished cars, but the parts they depend on, from microchips and lithium-ion batteries to navigation and electronic modules. Nearly one-third of the components in Ford's F-150, Bronco, and Mustang Mach-E come from China. Doubling those costs would make production almost impossible to sustain. Because of that, Bloomberg Automotive Watch reports that Ford is considering temporarily halting operations at 2 assembly lines in Ohio and Illinois. The company is also seeking alternatives, negotiating with suppliers in South Korea, Vietnam, and India. But experts say these are emergency fixes. A supply network built over decades can't be rebuilt in months. Even if Ford manages to adapt, consumers will still feel it. Cars that once cost $40,000 could rise to $50,000 or more, triggering falling sales, lower profits, and more layoffs. Inside the White House, officials say this looming crisis is exactly why Trump is pushing to fast-track his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, set for 2 weeks from now in Singapore. The aim? To cool tensions and find a compromise that gives U.S. companies breathing room. Diplomats suggest one possible solution could be a temporary exemption for critical goods like auto parts and electronics. If successful, the talks could give Ford and the broader U.S. auto industry a lifeline. But if they fail, economists warn of a downturn rivaling the 2008 crisis when automakers were the first to fall. This time, the consequences could reach even deeper, testing not only the future of a single company, but America's reputation as an industrial powerhouse. Still, within Ford, there's a sense of cautious optimism. Executives believe the negotiations will happen, balance will return, and the industry will survive another storm. Yet many admit privately that the very idea of made in America now hangs in the balance. If the tariff war spirals out of control, that phrase could shift from a badge of pride to a warning of how politics can cripple an entire industry. Experts across the U.S. say this is no longer just a trade spat. Between two powers, it's a full-scale economic showdown. The Peterson Institute for International Economics warns that the tariffs could unleash a domino effect across industries, similar to the pandemic-era disruptions when a single missing component shut down entire sectors. But this time, the cause isn't a virus, it's political ambition. Leaked Federal Reserve reports suggest inflation could rise by up to 2% by early 2026 due to rising manufacturing and vehicle costs, erasing recent progress on price stability and possibly hurting Trump's political standing ahead of the midterms. Some economists call the situation a self-inflicted wound, arguing that protectionism meant to save jobs may end up destroying even more. Within Ford, internal debates are growing intense. Some executives push to diversify faster, moving part of EV production to Mexico and Canada, where trade rules are easier. Others warn that doing so could anger the White House, as Trump has repeatedly criticized companies for sending jobs abroad. For now, Ford walks a tightrope, postponing major decisions until after the Trump-Xi summit. Meanwhile, Global Times and South China Morning Post report that China is preparing its own counterattack, possibly restricting exports of rare earth metals and lithium, essential for EV batteries and motors. If Beijing acts, the blow to Ford, GM, and Tesla could be immediate. Analysts already call it the lithium salvo, a direct hit to America's electric vehicle ambitions. According to Goldman Sachs, if tensions keep rising, Ford's market value could drop by a quarter within 6 months. Yet, outwardly, the company remains calm, emphasizing its ongoing dialogue with Washington and its confidence in a resolution. Behind the scenes, however, Ford is preparing for all scenarios. suspending select production lines, cutting R&D budgets, and reviewing its model lineup. Inside headquarters, anxiety runs deep. Workers trade rumors, engineers run forecasts, and financial teams meet late into the night, calculating how long Ford can endure a full-scale trade war. The mood feels eerily familiar, like 2008 all over again. Back then, the crisis began with mortgages. Now it's tariffs. But the impact is the same. Ordinary Americans, the hands that built a national icon, once again face uncertainty. As Trump and Xi prepare for their high-stakes meeting, the world watches. For Ford, the outcome could define its legacy, whether it remains a symbol of American strength or becomes the first casualty of a new global economic era.